Welcome to this new Flight Simulator update movie. It's finally there, Sim update number 10. It took a while before it was released, including multiple betas, and a long time of waiting and a long time of silence after the last first day. But it's here, and let's have a look at the release notes. So, first of all, they implemented DirectX 12. They're still working on it, so if you experience issues, it might be better to switch back to DirectX 11 because there are some GPU memory utilization regression issues, which result in that the GPU memory consumption is higher, which eventually will affect also the performance of Flight Simulator. Then there's a new thing being added, the secondary window on the left and right side on your main monitors, right, to enlarge your field of view, especially when you use several monitors. So if you're having 3 monitors attached, then you can finally start using them using Flight Simulator. Then there's a new anti-aliasing and upscaling option on the PC. It's called the NVIDIA DLSS. I heard there were some rumors about NVIDIA releasing a new driver, which I would say is required for that. Although the option is still there, you might want to check if NVIDIA has a new driver also for that. Then there's a new cloud layer system that will provide more vertical precision at low altitudes to better reflect the various cloud altitudes and thickness. And they implemented a fix for the bootstrap activities, especially the save and autosave options have been improved. That was sometimes a little bit messy, which resulted in that you need to start from scratch. And also the refueling will now be done automatically. To be honest, I liked having the manual option to refuel, but this is what they implemented. Then the VFR map has been enhanced. If you want to have a look at it, have a look at one of my videos. There it's now on the top, which you can see the details which have been changed. And the G1000 NXI is now the default G1000. Right, the one which is created by a working title. Has been now added as the default G1000 system compared to the say G1000, which was previously built by Asobo. It's also mentioned that there's a note here: the G1000 NXI is now the default in sim update number 10. However, it will only be displayed in a default sim aircraft with the G1000. Right, so it means that if you are a developer of an aircraft which is using the G1000, you need to make sure that you modify it. Then in addition to that, some new key mapping options, which are now available for taxi and navigation ribbon visual assistance. Well, that's nice. And the moving modes now have the wake effect on the PC. That's only on the PC, not on the Xbox. To, let's say, help some people which might want to try Flight Simulator before buying it, there's now the low power mode. It, let's say, displays things a little bit different, but it also results in the power to be used is, let's say, smaller. Keep in mind that the frame rate in this case is limited to 20 frames per second, which is, I would say, not that big. Then the encryption of the config files for premium and deluxe planes has been removed, which is a good thing because now also community can, I would say, start developing things for those aircrafts. That's good. And there's a new package ordering system. It's also available on the PC via the experimental option menu in the game. Right? That's the way the content XML file used to work has changed and may impact the behavior of your add-ons if they're writing directly to this file. So that's more for the devs, but it could impact you if you're having, I would say, third-party aircraft. But hopefully the developers already started testing as part of the Sim Update 10 beta program, and hopefully have fixed it. Then the last one, there's a new spotlight event, the Entebbe International Airport in Uganda, using the citation CG4, which is, I would say, cool. What did they fix else? Well, of course, it's stability, right? Everybody's reporting stability issues, performance issues. Well, that's what they take seriously, and based on that, they included several fixes, including performance optimization work for several memory leaks. Also, they fixed the performance drop when more than 4 world updates photogrammetry packages are installed. Well, I'm not sure who installed only 4. I installed all of them, and probably that's what most of us did. So that's cool, right? So Several other things like the WebSockets being fixed, new essential package update flow introduced, right? So that's to reduce the risk of crashes. So updates will now occur during the boot process and not, let's say, if it's already started. And some issues some fixes for issues when using third-party aircrafts. So that's good. Then the navigation traffic. The 8 is wind speeds in feet per second instead of knots. That's being fixed, and there's now a SimVar on any runway, which can be used by external tools to read those sim variables. The flight planner will now try to keep the procedure transitions when loading an external flight plan. So if you load it, for example, from SimBrief, it will try to keep those, let's say, procedure transitions into account. Didn't test myself yet, including not in the beta, but let's see. Then the weather, they added interpolation out of the meter data when getting away from the meter data, distance, altitude, or time. They adjusted gust to live weather. They added additional dynamic pressure and air density debug data. And they increased the density calculation extreme temperature limits by 10%. Per feedback, the turbulence in the draft have also been reduced by 90% at 0 knots and 50% at 1 knot. That's to make the weather more accurate, right? In addition to that, the last one, the various fixes on improvements on the weather panel. The activities, several fixes including loading flight files from the cloud storage and the countdown remaining on screen when animations are disabled in low altitude activities like the Maverick ones. And they fixed some statistics which did not update. The VFR map, that is one which received the most updates, including nav aids and pulling information from nav aids. That's now being added. So you can now use the VFR map to have a look at it. Again, some people say, hey, it still is not enough, but hey, it's a good starting point. I do expect that they will, I would say, update more or will add more features to this later on. So now it's easier to navigate using the VFR map, which is built in. Then coming to the planes. Well, this is a very long list and I'm not gonna go to all the issues. They have fixed tons of things in multiple aircrafts, including some variables which did not work correctly. They also fixed some radio issues with specific radios like the GNS 430 and GNS 530, which caused the CDI mode to be, I would say, where you were not able to change it. And the COM radio, which also fixed. So a lot of cool things. Some fixes also specifically for the Xbox, right? They fixed the weather radar rendering issue. So keep that in mind. The G1000 NXI log from the current marketplace version. Well, they added tons of stuff. The weather radar, radio altimeter, or a MINS option, back course, and lots of other stuff, which is really cool to see. I really like the G1000 NXI and I hope that they will continue to develop it and make sure that they will add cool stuff. So be helpful and provide them feedback if you experience issues with that. Then the bug fixes. LNAV navigator, missing top of descent fixes, markers, the GS, the GP activation, the CDI tools, the NextRed, tons of fixes which were not in the initial package. So really cool to see some more fixes to come. Then specific aircraft updates. The F-18 Hornet, the HMD has been added. The Boeing 787 had an issue that caused the flight officer's barrow knob to not make any sound when rotated. The 747, the RTO does not disable after a full stop. And the altitude call out now taking landing gear into account. The A320, that was where it caused an issue with the auto brake option, right? The auto brake option is to make sure that it starts auto braking once you land or once you take off. You can set it to max, right? If you want to abort the takeoff, it will automatically, let's say, slow down the aircraft. The tracking mode, which has been adjusted, changing handling point of GS waypoint in flight planner mode, and they fixed the TACAS icons not being displayed correctly and some other nice fixes. The Cessna, which has now been replaced, right? The G1000 is now the G1000 NXI. They fixed some issues where the ground collision parameters to improve ground handling using crosswind at high speeds. They made some changes to the CDIs, the default AP pitch, and they fixed the issues with the nav log and GPS indicators on CDI lightning when it's incorrect. The Dark Star also received an update. A lot of landing light issues fixed, some wear and tear being added to the cockpit, and better cockpit lighting. The Beechcraft also received an update, fixed glide scope, ground power can now visibly connect, and they added the ground fine throttling section to ensure the plane can be set up to not move without parking brake. There are also some glide scope issues and some panel issues are being fixed, as well as they did for the Cessna Citation longitude. They corrected some issues with the taxi lighting and also some display logic in the cockpit. The Cubcraft rigs, they now added now an option to disconnect the autopilot. That was previously impossible. Well, it was possible with the key, but not, I would say, by using a mouse. And the Icon A5, now its touch back button on the area doesn't hold the gamepad cursor mode anymore. The Beechcraft, part of the landing gear was not animated and was clipping with the fuselage. And Robin DR40 received toe brakes now animate when brakes are applied. The Aviate Pits received the radio knob where the sound not emitted, and the 340 LT received an update for the ground collision parameters as well as the fuel tank selector. That was a lot, right? Let me take a break before we continue with the world. Because in the world they also fixed some things like the leisure boat slider. They removed it for the Xbox, as well as fixing building texture flickering that could occur on the Xbox, also fixed. Then there are two specific aircraft or airport fixes. They removed the trees before runway 25R on EDDF, and they fixed an elevation issue on the bridge at KDFW airport that crashed the airplane. And they fixed several points of interest for the Patagonia bush trip. Then the UI. They've now added some fixes where the cursor didn't work correctly, and also sometimes the input was not recognized correctly. And they deported the VFR map widget on a lateral screen which couldn't zoom. Then there's the experimental tab for the experimental issues. That's only available on the PC, and you now have the change rate, frame rate option description to better explain what the option actually does, right? When the screen refresh is different than 60 Hz. There are the options to customize the subtitles. So if you want to customize the subtitles, you can do it now. And they added the screen narration throughout the menus. That's to make sure that it's more accessible. Last thing is they added a remove friend option. In the past, you could also only accept friends, but not remove them. That's now also can be done. Peripherals, some keyboard issues, and some actions being triggered with a head switch and used on a combination key. Not sure if this is for a specific joystick or something, but that's being fixed. And they now added a new shortcut preset aimed to support 60% of the keyboards. Good. And short keyboards probably for smaller keyboards if you're using that. Latest one for the ones who are owning a Turtle Beach Velocity 1 on the Xbox now has official SIP support, and make sure that you update the firmware. There was an issue with version 1.3, so they now released version 1.3.3, and likely version 1.4 will be released soonish. Maybe it's already there, I didn't check it today. If you're the lucky one and you've got virtual reality, then you're in good hands, because they also added some fixes for that. They fixed the bug where the world scale modification was not saved. So cool things for virtual reality for those who are having that. And that's where we end, say, the release notes, right? Because all the other things are specifically related to the SDK, which is available for developers. Now, the next question is, how can you get the update? Well, the first thing you need to do is go to the store and then check for updates. If you participated in the beta program, it might be that you first need to leave the beta before you can install it. So let me check, because I still have the beta installed. If not, I will show you how to leave the beta, so that's always good. Keep in mind that if you didn't make the modifications in the storage location for the both the community add-ons but also the flight simulator add-ons, themselves, you might need to reinstall everything, so be aware of that. There's a video on the top where I show you how you can move that folder. Well, in this case, you don't see it, right? So that's a pity. So we first need to remove the beta before installing it. How to remove the beta? That's pretty easy. You simply go to the Insider Hub, and inside the Insider Hub, you can select the option to leave the beta program. You will find it into the previews or activities. Let me double check while it's loading. After that, you might need to restart the beta, right? So here it was already say, hey, Microsoft leaving the beta, new information on leaving the beta, go to this forum post, right? So let's go to that forum post because it might contain some more information. So it says, okay, hey, for the, there are a few changes. So it looks like that they made some changes to the beta user transition in and out the betas. For the 40th anniversary SIM update number 11, they will not remove participants from the beta groups on Stream, Windows, PC, Xbox following the release of SIM update number 10. That's interesting because normally you need to leave the beta, but in this case you don't need to leave the beta. Good news, right? In addition to this, the group will remain active until the start of the 40th anniversary SIM update number 11 beta. So that means that if you participated in the beta and you want to continue testing, or you want to have a sneak preview of the 40th anniversary update, then you can stay as is. You don't need to do anything. But if you want to leave, I'm going to show you in a few minutes. I will show you how to do it. I'm not going to leave because I really want to participate in those betas. So how can you leave? Pretty easy. Go to the previews. There you will find the beta. And inside there, you'll find the option to leave the beta, right? It says manage. And inside the manage, you can simply say leave the beta program and then you're done. I'm not going to leave, so I press save because I want to stay in the program. Once you restart, once you left the beta program, you need to reinstall your computer, open the store again, install the update, and then you should be good to go. The good thing is that I already have the update installed, right? Because the 1.27.21.0 is also the latest beta version. So that's cool. Here ends this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.